Peruvian Public Prosecutor's Office rejected President Dina Boluarte's claim of unconstitutionality in relation to the search of her residence. In Haiti, at least 4.97 million people face levels of acute food insecurity due to food shortages. And in Palestine, Israeli occupation forces continue illegal raids. On Saturday night, they arrested more than 25 civilians in the occupied West Bank. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Peruvian Public Prosecutor's Office rejected on Sunday President Dina Boluarte and her defense's claims of illegality and unconstitutionality in relation to the search of her residence. The government agency reiterated that the search had been ordered by the nation's Supreme Court and rejected as untrue the defense allegations that the police had conducted the search inappropriately. The prosecutor's office also said Dina Boluarte's son, Daniel Gómez Boluarte, had been informed about the search and that he delayed the entry to the residence. According to the investigations, the Rolex watch found in Boluarte's home was obtained recently and has an estimated cost of over $10,000. Meanwhile, social organizations in Peru supported the decision of the National Public Prosecutor in relation to the case of alleged illicit enrichment involving President-designate Dina Boluarte. Members of the different social organizations came to the surroundings of the Public Prosecutor's Office in support of the prosecutor Juan Carlos Villena after the break-ins at Dina Boluarte's house and in the government palace. People attending questioned Boluarte for victimizing herself in her recent message to the nation. They also demand justice and wonder that so far no investigations have been carried out concerning the 50 demonstrators who died in the last protest against the government of the president-designate. Members of Congress of the Republic have submitted motions of presidential vacancy against Boluarte for her moral incapacity. Opposition legislators in Peru have presented a vacancy motion against de facto President Dina Boluarte. The motion was based on charges of permanent moral incapacity after investigations conducted in the president's home and office found evidence leading to possible illegal gain. Boluarte is accused of not declaring the use of expensive jewels, which are considered above her income. She was also declared in contempt of court for not complying with two prosecutors' office subpoenas. The motion now needs to be debated and approved by the nation's Congress. The government of President Javier Milei has left 20,000 Argentinian state workers on the streets. The unions warn of severe impacts on the provisions of services and rights violations of the most vulnerable sectors of the population. In contrast with the festive tone with which the president has been pleased over the layoff, the unions warn that dismantling of the state will result in greater exposure of the population and the productive apparatus to adverse weather conditions, as well as to the deterioration of care for disabled people, groups with family problems, or in processing official data. Also informed that this Wednesday all workers in coordinated manner will try to access their workplaces. In Haiti, at least 4.97 million people face levels of acute food insecurity due to food shortages. The United Nations World Food Programme warned that Haiti is closer to famine since 1 in 2 people is hungry in the country, and according to data, 1.64 million people reached the emergency category due to food insecurity. According to sources, the shortage also affects hospitals that have a lack of supplies and medications and experience lack of water and electricity. In this sense, the United Nations warned that criminal groups control 80% of Port-au-Prince and the main ports of the capital, which complicates access to food and other inputs, aggravating the humanitarian situation on the island. The government of Peru delivers a shipment of humanitarian aid to families affected by an avalanche caused by the heavy rains registered in the last days. The National Defense Institute reported that over 35 families were affected after the destruction of more than 30 houses in San Juan Bautista municipality following the heavy rains that triggered a creek and caused a landslide that affected several villages. While the emergency is still ongoing, the local municipality delivered humanitarian aid to the regional government to be distributed among those affected. Meanwhile, meteorological authorities issued warnings in view of forecasts indicating upcoming rainfall, with moderate to heavy intensity levels in the central and southern highlands of the country. In Colombia, efforts continue to extinguish a forest fire of great proportions in San Onofre municipality in the northern department of Sucre. The fire, which started on March 28th, has already burned approximately 1,000 hectares and caused the evacuation of at least 50 people from the zone. According to local authorities, the magnitude of this emergency is immeasurable, so they ask the international government for more aerial support, water and various equipment to control this huge fire that is already reaching the limits with Bolivar department. In view of this situation, they urge the governor's office of the neighboring department to activate its risk management protocols in case the fire spreads to that territory. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. In Palestine, Israeli occupation forces continue illegal raids. On Saturday night, they arrested more than 25 civilians, including 6 women, in the occupied West Bank. The Commission on Detainees and Former Prisoners Affairs and the Society of Palestinian Prisoners stated that the detention operations occurred in occupied Jerusalem and the town of Hebron. At least 16 Palestinians were arrested as they left the Al-Aqsa Mosque. According to the organizations, the ongoing and increasing detention operations that began after October 7th, targeting children, women, the elderly and the sick, were part of the Israeli aggression against the Palestinian people and their ongoing genocidal war against Gaza. In Palestine, the number of deaths increases to 34 due to malnutrition and dehydration due to the lack of supplies in the north of the Gaza Strip. Health authorities confirmed the death of 4 Palestinians, including 2 children, in a hospital in northern Gaza due to the hunger crisis produced by the Israeli siege against Gaza. Official sources alert that the number of dead children due to the lack of food increased to 31, so they ensure that minors are the most affected by the conflict. In this sense, the World Health Organization warned that the malnutrition is greater in the northern Gaza region, where the destruction of infrastructure and the shortage of water, food and medicines put the lives of hundreds of civilians in danger. In the middle of the most brutal genocide in modern history, the 48th anniversary of Palestinian Land Day is celebrated. The Commission of Resistance to the World and Settlements say that Israel has stolen more than 2,800 kilometers of territory. Moajed Shaban, head of the Commission, also reported that the occupant has started establishing blocking zones around the colonies. This Palestinian organization has registered a total of 52 structural plans oriented to build 8,829 colonial units on an area equivalent to 6,852 acres. On one Earth Day, Palestine was surrounded by the murder of more than 32,000 people. For the sixth consecutive night, Jordans rallied on Saturday in front of the Israeli embassy to denounce the crimes committed by the Zionist occupation forces in Gaza. The demonstrators rejected the continuous Israeli attacks against hospitals as well as the bombardments against the Palestinian territories. They also called the Jordan government to stop its diplomatic and trade relations with Tel Aviv and urged an immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. Jordans have been massively demonstrating against the Israeli attacks since the beginning of the conflict on October 7th. However, social organizations have denounced the government's repression against those who oppose the Israeli occupation. The people of Yemen also mobilized in support of Palestinians in Sana'a, the capital city, and 14 other provinces across the nation. The demonstrators assert that Palestine is a priority for the people of Yemen and therefore reject those who remain silent in the face of the genocide carried out by Israel against the citizens of Gaza. The Yemenis also warned the United States and the United Kingdom that any adventure against their territory will be strongly repelled by thousands of Muslim combatants. In Cuba, Palestinian Land Day is commemorated with several solidarity demonstrations and calls for a permanent ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. A political and cultural event will be held this Sunday at the headquarters of the Cuban Institute of Friendship with the Peoples on the occasion of the aforementioned commemoration. This event takes place in support of the Palestinian cause in the middle of the tragic circumstances they are currently going through, in light of the intensification of genocide, ethnic cleansing, forced displacement, and a war of hunger that the world never witnessed before. Cuba advocates for peace in the occupied territories based on the creation of two states that will allow the Palestinian people to be free from Tel Aviv's aggression. This Saturday, Cyprus sent the second ship loaded with humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip. Jennifer Frater sailed from the port of Larnaca with 500 tons of aid, including food and medicines. According to local media, the shipment has already been inspected by the competent authorities of the Republic, and the Israelis have also completed the necessary inspections. The aid is expected to reach Palestine in about 65 hours, which is the estimated time of the journey. The Lebanese Hezbollah resistance called on the people of Lebanon to participate in the demonstrations of the World Al-Aqsa Day on Friday, April 5th. The Secretary General of the Islamic Resistance Movement, Sayed Hassan Nasrallah, stressed that this year's Al-Quds Day takes place in a different scenario from previous years. Nasrallah pointed out that the people of Gaza is witnessing massacres and displacement as a result of Israeli siege, and called on the people of Lebanon to stand in solidarity with Palestinians and to reject Israel's spoliation of Palestinian lands. The World Al-Quds Day is celebrated on the last Friday of the holy month of Ramadan in support of the Palestinian people in opposition to Zionism and the takeover of the holy city of Jerusalem. We have a final short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with TeleSUR. Final short break. Don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, assured that they could be forced to withdraw step by step from the battlefront. This is what he stated on Friday during an interview with the American media Washington Post. The Ukrainian president assured that if there's no American support, it means that we will go back. We will withdraw step by step. By ratifying that, this is a war more from Washington than Kyiv, reiterating that without air defense, without Patriots, missiles and electronic warfare and artillery inhibitors, they will not be able to continue on the battlefront. However, and despite the changes in equipment and strategies, Kyiv cannot convince the Republican Congress, who keep, for the moment, the tap closed. The Russian Aerospace forces attacked the energy and gas extraction infrastructure of Ukraine on Sunday. The Eurasian country defense ministry reported that they neutralized 3 Sukhoi Su-25 aircrafts at the Gutteres airfield in the province of Nikolaev. He added that before this offensive, the Kyiv regime suspended the activities in several departments of the military industry dedicated to the manufacture and repair of armament. Also, the military entity detailed that during the last 24 hours, the Moscow anti-air defense shot down at least 178 drones and intercepted 23 reactive rockets. Dutch authorities announced Saturday the release of the last hostage held at a nightclub in the city of Ede. Ede's police confirmed that the prime suspect of the hostage-taking surrendered himself to the authorities after releasing the last captive held in the facility. Hours earlier, the police had ruled out a terrorist motive, but called local residents to remain at home and evacuated 150 houses in the vicinity of the club. The police are still investigating the motives related to the incident and have called residents to be calm after the suspect's arrest. The world celebrates this Saturday the International Zero Waste Day with the aim of promoting sustainable consumption and production practices. The waste sector continues to contribute significantly to the triple global crisis of climate change, biodiversity loss and pollution. The International Zero Waste Day initiative was adopted in 2022 by the United Nations General Assembly to promote sound environmental management and waste prevention and minimization to address the triple global crisis. According to studies, it is collected every year. On this International Zero Waste Day, the United Nations organization calls on the governments of the world to create circular economies to halt environmental pollution and invest in modern programs based on reuse and remanufacturing of products. The Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Gutteres, said that humans generate more than 2 billion tons of solid urban waste every year and warned that this figure could double by 2050. The diplomat also called on large companies to minimize packaging waste and extend the expiration date of products. Caracas takes to the stage with Venezuela's International Progressive Theater Festival, an event that unites culture with solidarity. Let's see the details with our correspondent Gladys Quesada.
From March 22nd to March 31st, Caracas hosted the International Progressive Theater Festival of Venezuela. Among the main venues was San Agustin, one of the most popular areas of the Venezuelan capital. Its theater, La Alameda, lent its stage for a singular play for its spectators. This is The Nights of Significance, a Barbadian play in 2 acts that recreates first the kidnapping of Africans, the dispossession of their culture, and then the rebellion of Buza, a historical passage of the anti-slavery deeds in the island. With a minimal scenography and live music, 12 actors interpret these events. In spite of the language barriers, for them it is crucial to bring their message to the Venezuelan lands.
We don't take many opportunities to explore the linkages between our history, and I think this play was a great opportunity for us to do just that, to, tell the public that, hey, listen, we have been through the same thing.
We both have characters, individuals who would have fought for the emancipation, either from colonial slave masters or from an imperialist system. General Buza sought to do so for the enslaved in Barbados, like Simon Bolivar from Venezuela, as he sought to liberate Venezuela from Spanish control.
The play, although simple, contains codes of negritude and blackness shared by the Caribbean and Latin America. Those behind production know very well the value of every detail.
Stitching together the play with the music of Africa fused with the music of Barbados, which is what was created through the slave society in Barbados, was very important to me.
We have very similar history, but in different diasporas. And for Barbados and Venezuela to come together and build a tighter friendship, because that's what's needed within the Latin American country and the Caribbean. We need to be one and not just separate. So this is a step towards that.
In spite of the language barriers, this performance achieved its goal to bring together 2 peoples with common struggles, and this was its message. Afterwards, it will go to Cuba to expand Caribbean brotherhood through the art. Gutteres, TeleSUR, Caracas, Venezuela.
We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok as well. For TeleSUR English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.
We share your feelings, exalt your accomplishments, and show your reality. Our approach is global and keeps us in tune with the peoples. Caribbean countries